will the president go to the mat and insist on funding his border wall as part of the stopgap government funding measure?
Well, Dana, I think it goes without saying that the president has been pretty straightforward about his desire and the need for a border wall. So I would suspect he'll do the right thing for sure, but I will suspect he will be insistent on the funding.
Sounds like the president is ready for a fight. With just days until a possible government shutdown, the president added funding for that wall along with the Mexican border as part of his demands. But will it work? With me now to talk about this and much, much more, Neera Tanden, president and CEO of the Center for American Progress, Republican Congressman Darrell Issa of California, Amanda Carpenter, former communications director for Ted Cruz, and Bakari Sellers, former South Carolina Democratic State Representative. Thank you all for joining me on this morning. You're sitting member of Congress. I'm going to start with you. Do you think that the government should shut down over this wall?
No, I don't expect to shut down the government, but we have been, under Republican and Democratic presidents, funding additions to this border fence, or wall if you prefer. This last week, I've been at the border twice, once with Congressman Juan Vargas, where we stood right by that wall, another time with Secretary Kelly. San Diego region has this double fence, and we've had it for years, and it has saved lives, particularly Border Patrol agent lives, but also lives of people attempting to cross the border.
Do you think the president is right to insist that this money to make that much longer, to go through the most of the southern border, is right?
If you talk to the Border Patrol agents who put their life on the line at the border, they will tell you this makes them safer, and it makes people attempting to cross the border less likely to be hurt or killed. So, of course, we should do it. I think one of the challenges is it turned into a campaign issue where under Republican and Democratic administrations, under House in control of Republicans or Democrats, we have been adding both virtual and literal barriers to the border to try to cordon people into going through the gates, not through the fields.
You're shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should talk to members of your own party, like Congresswoman McSally, who's written to the president and said this money shouldn't be spent this way. She's opposed to this. Senator Flake, who represents
Senator
Arizona,
Flake has voted for this funding.
He's said that this is a problem and he does not want this funding. It's as the Wall Street Journal has reported that. And I think the challenge here is President Trump looked into everyone's eyes and said Mexico would pay for this wall. And now Congressman Issa and others want me and the taxpayers to pay for this wall. And I think that is why Democrats and a lot of Republicans, not just Democrats,
what about the Border Patrol agents who sit there at the border?
This is something that has been authorized for a long, long time, and there is a time where we need to put it to rest. Now, I think the biggest issue this week is whether President Trump is willing to shut down the government over it, and I think a lot of Republicans aren't taking that threat seriously. A lot of people view the president's threats as essentially like your mom saying, clean your room, or I'm
I want to read you.
And you kind of shuffle on yourself, act like you're doing something, go back to what you're doing. I would like to see this issue resolved. I would like to see the border fence built, but if Mexico is not going to pay for it, I strongly encourage the president to find a way to pay for it and make this easier to settle.
So let me just, before you jump in, Bakari, I want to get to you. I have to read this money quote from the New Yorker magazine, rather, that Ryan Lizza got from a Trump White House official. Next week is going to have quite high drama. The great irony here is that the call for the government shutdown will come on, guess what, the 100-day mark, 100 days. If you pitch this in a studio, they would say, get out of here. This is too ridiculous. This is going to be a big one.
Well, unfortunately, everything is drama in this new White House that we have. But what we are starting to see is this drama is filled with failure after failure after failure after failure. And all you have to do is go to the president's own website where he puts up his 100-day checklist. The Affordable Care Act, labeling China as a currency manipulator. And the list goes on and on and on of things that he has not been able to accomplish. Listen, this wall is not going to be paid for by Mexico. Let me just tell you that, my friend Amanda. But also, this wall is not going to be the cause of what shuts down the government this week. I don't see Republican members of Congress standing by and saying that we are going to let government shut down over this wall. I just don't see it.
You agree?
I think that...
I mean, I think the question is for Congressman Issa. Would you shut down the government over the wall?
Since you're the
I was just going to say, you're pretty good at this. Actually, Congressman, I have a question. I have a question. Would
Look, I
you
have
shut
voted-
down
I
the
have
government over?
voted- I have voted to fund the government time and time again.
Yes.
And I voted to fund it when there have been shutdowns
Mm-hmm.
because the Senate doesn't pick up a bill, ignores it. So I've been through that situation.
But what about now?
So I expect the House will pass a funding bill. I want people to understand.
And you'll vote for it.
10,000, 20,000, 50,000 Border Patrol agents. How many men and women do we have to put on the border risking their lives at a cost of billions of dollars per thousand Border Patrol agents before people realize that border fences and other things that help them do their job are a trade-off between more Border Patrol agents, more ICE agents, and a secure border.
People aren't
the
not just
reality is-
jumping over fences left and right. Net migration between the United States and Mexico is
You know,
actually
I
zero.
wish you'd been at the
It's
border.
Guys, I wanna
actually
bring
wish you'd
in-
been at the border. I wish you'd been at the border when I saw it happen 2 days
Okay,
ago.
okay, one at a
Come
time,
to the
guys,
border.
Get that,
guys,
but I
border
mean, he's setting
area.
this-
One at a time,
The
one at a
majority
time.
of people in this country here illegally overstay visas.
Sure.
And so we keep
Actually,
I want to bring
40%.
something else
Saw
into the
that too.
conversation. Hold. I want to bring something else in, which is a new poll from ABC Washington Post. And it shows that you guys are probably not going to want to hear this, but look at this. Trump supporters are still so with him. Those who voted for Trump say that they still feel that they did the right thing. So given that, Bakari and Neera, the president is still holding on to his base. I know it's hard to govern with your base, but at least you still got that.
Donald Trump got elected with the minority share of the population. We know that. Of the people who came out to vote, he had the fewest number of voters. With that being said, he's going to have a core 35% of the electorate. He's going to have that core 35. It's
exactly.
not going anywhere. And these people, it's only been 100 days. They haven't felt the pain of his failure yet. But it is coming.
Amanda, what does that tell you?
Democrats I don't know what alternative you guys are really offering to Trump, saying, oh, illegal immigration isn't a problem. There's nobody crossing
one
the
said
border.
that.
You don't have to worry about terrorism. I feel like the Democrats have their heads in the sand so much.
No one said
They're
that.
just saying,
Democrats are saying-
resist the
No.
Trump agenda.
That's
no
not, but
alternative.
that's not true.
And they're not
The
addressing the
alternatives
concerns that
the
Trump voters
alternatives
have
are,
in any manner.
The alternatives
Bakari,
are.
let's get
So
Neera.
can I just say, 2/3 of independents oppose Trump. It's just 100 days. 2/3 have opposed him, and this is his high watermark. I think the challenge here is that his agenda is not popular. You know, the wall, it's not actually popular with the public. What you tried to do in the Affordable Care Act, basically, and making it worse now with dumping pre-existing conditions, that's going to make it less
Congressman,
popular.
you're a
You know,
Republican.
I really love it. You know, on the same day, 2 ads showed up in my district.
Well, I was just gonna say,
One
you're
that
in
was
a
thanking
tough
me
seat.
for the vote that didn't happen, and one that was claiming it was terrible, the vote that didn't happen.
What do you think about
Okay,
pre-existing?
so
What is that-
please,
what is-
enough of the vote
what is
that didn't happen.
What is that? In
As
all
we
seriousness,
continue-
how do you feel as a Republican
we continue
congressman?
to try to create choice, availability, and affordability in health care, okay, as we try to do it, let people look at bills when they're available. I'm happy to look at it. I've been working on trying to make sure that my community clinics continue to get the funding to help them deliver efficient, low-cost health care to the needy and so on. But back to the fence. I live in a community that is San Diego is one of the safest communities, big cities in America. It has had that fence for years. The fence works. I am not going to tell the Border Patrol that we're going to get more bodies on the border, but we're not
Can
going
I
to
just
give
ask-
them the tool.